The champagne flutes were arranged in perfect rows on the marble counter. I'd polished each one by hand that morning. Twice. My husband Marcus walked through the kitchen at 4:30, checked his reflection in the oven door, and told me the flowers on the dining table were too orange. "They'll photograph badly," he said, adjusting his cufflinks. "Change them before everyone arrives." I didn't ask who would be photographing them. I just nodded and pulled the burnt orange dahlias from the vase. Replaced them with white roses, scentless, safe, boring, just like he preferred. The Monroe family dinner party was starting in 90 minutes. 12 people, 3 courses, one chance to not screw it up. Marcus's father, Gerald, was supposedly in a generous mood lately. Marcus thought that meant his promotion to COO was finally happening. He'd been pacing all week, rehearsing casual ways to bring it up, practicing confidence. I knew the truth. Paula, my private investigator, had delivered the real agenda 3 days ago. Gerald was planning to fire Marcus at the board meeting on Thursday. Richard had evidence of embezzlement. They were going to let Marcus walk into that meeting thinking he'd won, then destroy him publicly. Marcus had no idea. But I did. And tonight, before they could, I was going to show everyone exactly who Marcus Monroe really was. The doorbell rang at 6. Gerald and Judith arrived first, as always. Judith handed me her coat without looking at me and commented that the house smelled heavy. I'd been braising short ribs for 4 hours. She meant it as criticism. "Catherine works so hard on these dinners," Marcus said, kissing his mother's cheek. "Even if the results are rustic." Rustic meant I'd failed, again. Richard and his wife Claire came next. Richard clapped Marcus on the shoulder and asked if he was ready for Thursday. Marcus grinned. He thought Richard meant ready to celebrate. Claire caught my eye across the foyer. There was something there. Sympathy, maybe. She tried to warn me once, months ago, that Marcus wasn't who I thought he was. I'd already known by then. But I'd smiled and thanked her anyway. Dana, Marcus's younger sister, arrived with her husband. She hugged me, whispered, "You look tired. Is he being awful again?" I just squeezed her hand. Then the last 3 guests arrived, all within minutes of each other. Vanessa Holt, director of marketing at Monroe Pharmaceuticals. Blonde, polished, wearing a dress that cost more than my car payment. Marcus had insisted she be invited. "Key business associate," he'd said. "Deserves recognition." She was his mistress. They'd been sleeping together for 8 months. Behind her, a man in his 40s, nervous, clutching a bottle of wine. Tom Holt, Vanessa's husband. Marcus went stiff when he saw Tom. Vanessa's smile fractured. "Tom," I said warmly, taking the wine, "thank you so much for coming." "I thank you for inviting me," Tom said, confused. "Your note said I deserved to know the truth?" Marcus shot me a look. Pure rage, hidden behind a tight smile. "Let's discuss it over dinner," I said lightly. The final guest slipped in quietly. A woman in her 50s, professional but understated. She introduced herself to Gerald as Sandra Kim, a colleague of mine from my event planning days. She wasn't. She was a federal investigator with the SEC, and she was here to watch. We moved to the dining room. I'd set the table that morning, every detail perfect. Crystal, china, candles. Marcus sat at the head, Gerald on his right, Richard across from him, the dynamics of power displayed in seating. I served the first course, seared scallops with citrus reduction. Judith took one bite and said, "A bit acidic, dear." Marcus nodded. "She overdoes the lemon." I smiled, collected plates, said nothing. In the kitchen, my hands shook, not from fear, from anticipation. This was the last meal I'd ever serve these people. I brought out the second course, wild mushroom risotto. The conversation had turned to the company. Richard was talking about Q4 projections. Marcus kept trying to steer things toward his own contributions. Gerald barely acknowledged him. I watched Vanessa watch Marcus, the way her eyes tracked his every movement. Tom noticed too. His jaw tightened. Marcus drank his 3rd glass of wine. His words got louder, more insistent. "I've been carrying that division for 2 years. he said, voice sharp. I think we all know who deserves credit. Richard raised an eyebrow. Do we? The table went quiet. Marcus's face darkened. He refilled his glass. I cleared the second course. In the kitchen, Paula's words echoed. When he drinks, he gets reckless. Let him. I returned with the entree. Braised short ribs, roasted root vegetables, red wine reduction. I was setting Marcus's plate down when he shifted suddenly. My hand wobbled. 3 drops of sauce landed on the tablecloth near Vanessa's elbow. Jesus Christ, Catherine, Marcus snapped. I'm sorry, I said quietly. You'll get nothing. Sit down. Everyone was staring. I remained standing. Marcus, I said, sit down. His voice was cold. Final. I sat. He looked at his father. This is what I deal with, every day, incompetence. Judith nodded sympathetically. It's hard to find good help these days, even when you marry it. Laughter, small, polite. My face burned. Dana shifted uncomfortably. Claire looked at her lap. Marcus turned to me. His eyes were flat, empty. Apologized to Vanessa. You almost ruined her dress. The words hung in the air. I looked at Vanessa. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, I said softly. Marcus shook his head. Like you mean it. Something inside me went still. I stood up, picked up a wine glass, walked toward the kitchen. Where are you going? Marcus demanded. To get a cloth. I didn't say you could leave the table. I stopped, turned. He was standing now, fists clenched. You embarrass me, he said quietly. Every time, every goddamn time. Marcus, Gerald started. Marcus ignored him, crossed the room in 3 strides, and slapped me across the face. The sound cracked through the dining room like a gunshot. My head snapped to the side. I tasted blood. The wine glass fell from my hand and shattered on the hardwood. No one moved. No one spoke. I stood there, hand on my cheek, staring at the broken glass. Judith's voice, small and tight. Marcus, that was excessive. Excessive. Not wrong. Excessive. Gerald cleared his throat. Catherine, perhaps you should apologize for provoking. No, my voice didn't sound like mine. It was calm, cold. I looked up at Marcus. His face was flushed, breath heavy. He expected me to cry, to run. I smiled. His confusion was delicious. Excuse me, I said softly. I need to get something from the kitchen. I stepped over the broken glass, walked slowly. My heels clicked on the floor. Behind me, whispers. Marcus muttering something to his father, Vanessa's nervous laugh. In the kitchen, I wet a towel, pressed it to my split lip, looked at myself in the reflection of the darkened window. 6 years. 6 years of this. Not anymore. I opened the drawer where I'd hidden 3 manila folders that afternoon, pulled them out, straightened my dress, and walked back into the dining room. Everyone looked up. I set the folders on the table. Before we finish dinner, I said, voice steady, I have something to share with all of you. Marcus laughed. Catherine, not now. I ignored him. Handed the first folder to Gerald, the second to Richard, the third to Judith. What is this? Gerald demanded. I looked around the table. At every face that had watched me shrink for years. At Vanessa, pale and still. At Tom, confused and waiting. At Marcus, who was starting to realize something was very, very wrong. The truth, I said simply. All of it. And I opened the first folder. Gerald opened his folder slowly. His expression shifted from annoyance to confusion to something harder. Richard was already reading his jaw tightened. He looked at Marcus, then at me. What is this? Marcus said, voice too loud. What did you give them? I didn't answer him. I turned to Vanessa. Vanessa, I don't believe you've met Tom's wife. I gestured to her. Oh, wait. You are Tom's wife. Tom looked at Vanessa, then at me. I don't understand. You will, I said gently. Marcus stood up. Catherine, stop this right now. Gerald's voice cut through the room like ice. Sit down, Marcus. Marcus froze. His father never used that tone with him. Gerald held up a bank statement. Is this real? Every page, I said. Judith leaned over to look, her face drained of color. I addressed the table, calm and clear. What you're looking at is evidence of systematic embezzlement from Monroe Pharmaceuticals. Over 8 months, approximately $470,000 was transferred from company accounts into a joint offshore account. Richard flipped through pages. Transfer records, dates, amounts. The account, I continued, is held jointly by Marcus Monroe and Vanessa Holt. Tom's head snapped toward Vanessa. What? Vanessa's hands were shaking. This isn't. It's all there, I said. Bank statements, transfer receipts, falsified expense reports, Marcus submitted. Vanessa's approval signatures, dates, times, amounts. Marcus tried to laugh. It came out strangled. This is insane. Catherine, you've clearly misunderstood some business transactions. I didn't misunderstand anything, I said. I hired a forensic accountant, former FBI. She's very thorough. Gerald's voice was deadly quiet. Marcus, explain this. There's nothing to explain. Catherine's having some kind of breakdown. The money is gone, Richard interrupted, still reading. It's been moving for months. How did we not catch this? I turned to Richard. You did catch it. He looked up sharply. You discovered the discrepancies 6 weeks ago. I said, you've been building a file, planning to present it to the board on Thursday. You were going to let Marcus walk in thinking he was getting promoted, then have him arrested. Richard's face didn't change. But he didn't deny it, Judith gasped. Richard, is that true? We had to protect the company, Richard said flatly. Marcus stared at his brother. You knew? You've known for weeks and you didn't. Didn't what? Richard shot back. Warn you? Give you time to cover your tracks? You stole from our family, Marcus. Our family? Marcus's voice rose. Our family that's been dangling that promotion over my head for 3 years? Our family that gave you everything while I got scraps? The room erupted. Gerald shouting at Marcus. Marcus shouting at Richard. Judith trying to calm everyone down. I remained silent. Watching. Tom stood up slowly. His voice cut through the chaos. Someone explain to me what my wife has to do with this. Everyone went quiet. Tom looked at Vanessa. Nessa? She was crying. Tom, I can explain. The affair started 9 months ago, I said. My voice was gentle, kind even. Hotel receipts are in the folder, if you'd like to see them. The Waterford downtown, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometimes Friday afternoons. Tom's face crumpled. You said you were at conferences. I was working. She was sleeping with my husband, I said. Not cruelly, just factually. They've been planning to leave, together, once Marcus's stock options vested. 3 months from now, Marcus lunged toward me. Richard caught him, shoved him back into his chair. Don't even think about it. Gerald was staring at Marcus like he'd never seen him before. You were going to abandon your wife? Steal from us? Run away with an employee? She's not just an employee, Marcus spat. She actually gives a damn about me. Unlike all of you. Vanessa made a small sound, somewhere between a sob and a gasp. Tom was standing perfectly still. How long have you known? He asked me. 2 months, I said. I'm sorry, I know it hurts. He nodded slowly, looked at Vanessa. Do you love him? Vanessa's face was streaked with mascara. Tom, please, do you love him? He repeated. Yes, she whispered. Tom picked up his coat, walked to the door, stopped. I hope he's worth it, he said quietly, and left. Vanessa started to follow. Marcus grabbed her wrist. Don't. We need to figure out what to say. Let go of her, I said. Marcus turned to me. His eyes were wild. This is your fault. All of it. If you'd been a better wife. If you'd given me what I needed. You needed a mistress and $500,000 in stolen money? I asked. That's what a good wife provides? Dana spoke for the first time. Her voice shook. Marcus, how could you? Stay out of this, Marcus snapped. She's your wife, Dana said. You hit her, in front of all of us. She provoked me. She spilled 3 drops of sauce, Claire said quietly. She was looking at me. I'm so sorry. I should have said something sooner. You tried, I told her. I wasn't ready to hear it then. Judith found her voice. Catherine, this is all very unfortunate. But airing family matters like this. Family matters, I repeated. He's been hitting me for 6 months. You told me marriage requires flexibility. Silence. You knew? Dana whispered, staring at her mother. Judith's face hardened. I didn't. That's not what I said. You knew he was having an affair, I continued. You told him to keep me in line so I wouldn't find out, so I wouldn't embarrass the family. I pulled out my phone, opened screenshots of text messages. Marcus's voice. She's getting suspicious, asking questions about the hotel charges. Judith's response. Be firm with her. Women like Catherine need to understand their place. I turned the phone toward Judith. Dana stood up, trembling. Mom, tell me you didn't. Judith looked away. Dana grabbed her purse. I can't be here. I can't. She looked at me. Catherine, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, I said. She left. Her husband followed. Gerald was still staring at the bank statements. 470,000. Gone. Not gone, I said. Frozen. My investigator contacted the bank this morning. The account is under federal review. Marcus went pale. Federal? Richard closed his folder slowly. Catherine, what exactly did you do? I smiled. I made some calls, I said, to people who care about things like fraud and embezzlement and wire transfers across state lines. Gerald stood up. You reported us to federal authorities? I reported the crime, I corrected. The one your son committed. With his mistress. Using your company. Richard's voice was careful. What do they know? Everything, I said. Every transfer, every falsified document, every hotel receipt, every lie. Marcus was breathing hard. You vindictive. I'm not finished, I said. I walked back to the kitchen, returned with 2 more folders. And one more guest. Sandra Kim stood up from the corner of the room where she'd been sitting silently. Mr. Monroe, she said, addressing Gerald. My name is Sandra Kim, Securities and Exchange Commission. Gerald's face went gray. I'm here, Sandra continued, because Mrs. Monroe contacted our office 6 weeks ago with evidence of securities fraud involving Monroe Pharmaceuticals. I've spent this evening observing and recording this gathering with Mrs. Monroe's permission. This is her home, and single-party consent applies. She looked at Marcus. Mr. Marcus Monroe, you're not under arrest. Yet. But I need to inform you that you are under active federal investigation. I strongly suggest you retain counsel before speaking further. Marcus couldn't speak. He just stared at her, then at me. Why? He whispered. Why would you do this? I looked at him. This man I'd married. This man who'd convinced me I was worthless. Because you hit me, I said simply, and I decided I was done. Gerald found his voice first. Agent Kim, he said, forcing calm into his tone. There's been a misunderstanding. If my son made errors in judgment, the company will handle it internally. It's not internal anymore, Sandra said. Wire fraud is a federal offense. So is securities fraud when it involves a publicly traded company's subsidiary accounts. We're privately held, Richard started. Your pension fund isn't, Sandra interrupted. The accounts Mr. Monroe accessed are tied to employee retirement investments. That makes this a federal matter. Judith's hand flew to her chest. Marcus, what did you do? Marcus couldn't answer. He was staring at me like I'd become someone he didn't recognize. Good. I barely recognized myself either. Catherine, Gerald said, shifting tactics, voice softening. You're upset. Understandably. Marcus has behaved deplorably, but destroying the family business, destroying his future, our legacy, is that really what you want? What I wanted, I said quietly, was a husband who didn't hit me. The words landed like stones. Claire spoke up, voice stronger than before. Gerald, stop. You're not going to negotiate your way out of this. Richard turned to his wife. "Claire." "No," she said. "I'm done watching this family pretend everything's fine while it rots from the inside." She looked at me. "I tried to warn you at Christmas. After Marcus cornered you in the kitchen and told you that you'd embarrassed him in front of his colleagues. Do you remember?" I nodded. I remembered. He'd grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. "I should have done more," Claire said. "I knew it wasn't the first time. I'm sorry." "You're apologizing to her?" Judith said incredulously. "Claire, she's destroying this family." "Marcus destroyed it," Claire snapped. "Catherine's just showing you the damage." Sandra cleared her throat. "If I may, Mrs. Monroe, you indicated there was additional information." I handed her the second folder. She opened it. Her eyebrows rose. "What is that?" Richard demanded. "Timeline," I said, "of when Richard discovered the embezzlement, when he told Gerald, when they decided not to report it." Richard's face hardened. "That's privileged company information. It's evidence of accessory after the fact," Sandra said, reading. "You discovered financial crimes and didn't report them. You allowed them to continue for 9 weeks while building a case for internal purposes." Gerald stood abruptly. "We were protecting the company." "You were protecting your reputations," I said. "You wanted to handle this quietly. Fire Marcus. Make the money disappear into restructuring costs. Avoid the scandal. That's business," Gerald said tightly. "That's crime," Sandra corrected. "Failure to report known financial crimes makes you liable. Both of you." Richard's face was stone. "This is absurd. We're the victims here." "You're accomplices," I said. "You knew for 9 weeks. You could have stopped him, could have reported it, could have protected the employees whose pension funds he was stealing from, but you didn't. Because you were more worried about how it would look." Gerald sank back into his chair. For the first time, he looked old. "How much did your investigator find?" Richard asked me, voice hollow. "Everything," I said, "including your plan to restructure the family trust, to use Marcus's crimes as justification to cut him out entirely, to consolidate everything under your control." Judith gasped. "Richard, you wouldn't—" "He already did," I said. "The paperwork's drafted, dated for Friday, the day after the board meeting. After Marcus would have been arrested and publicly humiliated." Marcus looked at his brother. Something in his face shattered. "You were going to take it all," he whispered. Richard said nothing. "Everything I worked for. You were going to take it and leave me with nothing." "You stole from us," Richard said flatly. "What did you expect?" "I expected my family to care about me more than the goddamn quarterly projections," Marcus shouted. "I expected someone to notice I was drowning, to help me instead of using my suffering as a business opportunity." "You made your choices," Gerald said coldly. "I made choices you drove me to," Marcus shot back. 3 years, Dad. 3 years you promised me that promotion. 3 years you dangled it and then gave Richard everything. What was I supposed to do?" "Not steal," Gerald said. "Not cheat. Not hit your wife." Marcus laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about hitting? You backhanded Richard in your office when he lost the Hoffman account. I was 12. I watched through the glass." Richard flinched. "Don't act like this family is clean," Marcus continued, voice breaking. "Don't act like any of us are innocent." The room fell silent. Sandra closed her folder. "This is now a federal investigation involving multiple parties. I recommend everyone retain separate legal counsel. Do not communicate about this matter without lawyers present." She looked at me. "Mrs. Monroe, thank you for your cooperation. We'll be in touch." She left. The door clicked shut. No one moved. Vanessa, still standing in the corner, spoke for the first time since Tom left. "Marcus?" He didn't look at her. "Marcus, we need to talk." "Get out," he said quietly. "What?" "Get out of my house." "But you said we were going to—" "That was when I had a future," Marcus said, voice dead. "I have nothing now. No company, no money, no family, nothing." He finally looked at her. "Did you think I actually loved you?" Vanessa's face crumpled. "You were convenient," Marcus said. "Available. Willing. That's all you ever were." She slapped him. Hard. Then she grabbed her coat and ran out, sobbing. Marcus touched his face, laughed humorlessly. Guess I deserve that. You deserve worse, I said. He looked at me. Really looked at me. You planned this. All of it. Yes. For how long? 2 months. Since you shoved me into the kitchen counter and told me I was the reason you were failing. His throat worked. Catherine, I hired Paula the next day, I continued. She found the affair in 2 weeks, the embezzlement in 4, Richard's plan in 6, everything else just unfolded. Why tonight? Marcus asked. Why here? Because I wanted witnesses, I said simply. I wanted everyone who watched you diminish me to see what you really are, and I wanted you to see it reflected back in their faces. Judith was crying softly. Claire was watching me with something like awe. Richard looked like he was calculating damage control. Gerald looked broken. What happens now? Richard asked me. I picked up the 3rd folder, handed it to him. Divorce papers, I said. Restraining order. Asset division. My lawyer filed them this afternoon. Marcus made a sound. Not quite a laugh, not quite a sob. The prenup, Gerald started, is void, I said. Fraud vitiates all contracts. Marcus lied about his financial situation. He hid assets. He committed crimes. The prenup protects neither of you. What do you want? Richard asked. Money? Settlement? What? I looked around the table. At the remains of the dinner I'd spent hours preparing, at the family who'd treated me like expensive furniture. I want my life back, I said. I want to leave this house and never see any of you again. I want Marcus in prison or therapy or hell, I don't care which. I want you, I looked at Gerald, to face what you built. This company, this family, this dynasty of cruelty. You'll destroy us, Gerald said. You destroyed yourselves, I corrected. I'm just the one who stopped pretending not to notice. I walked to the door, picked up my purse. Catherine, Marcus said. His voice was small. Please. I stopped. Didn't turn around. I'm sorry, he whispered. For all of it. For everything. I stood there for a long moment. Then I opened the door. No, you're not, I said. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. And I walked out of my own house. Into the cold October night. Toward whatever came next. I drove to Paula's office. She was waiting with coffee and a box of tissues I didn't need. How'd it go? She asked. Exactly like you said it would, I replied. Gerald tried to negotiate. Richard tried to minimize. Marcus tried to blame everyone but himself. And the investigator? Perfect. She recorded everything, got Marcus to basically confess on tape, got Richard and Gerald to admit they knew and didn't report. Paula smiled. I told you Sandra was good. She's terrifying, I said. In the best way. So what now? I sipped the coffee. It was terrible and perfect. Now we wait, Sandra said. The case goes to the federal prosecutor by Monday. They'll review evidence and decide on charges. What do you think they'll charge? Wire fraud for Marcus. Definitely. Vanessa, too. Maybe conspiracy. Richard and Gerald. I shook my head. Harder to say. Accessory after the fact, maybe obstruction. Depends what the prosecutor thinks they can prove. And you're prepared to testify? If I have to, I said. But I'm hoping I don't have to. I gave them everything. My testimony is just icing. Paula leaned back. You know they're going to come after you. Legally, I mean. They'll claim you entrapped them, that you manipulated the situation. Let them try, I said. Everything I did was legal. I recorded in my own home with single-party consent. I reported crimes to proper authorities. I protected evidence. I didn't coerce anyone into doing anything. They incriminated themselves. Gerald has good lawyers. Gerald has expensive lawyers, I corrected. There's a difference. And the evidence doesn't care how much they cost. Paula grinned. I'm proud of you. You know that? I felt something warm in my chest. Thank you. For everything. For believing me. For helping me. That's what friends do. We're friends? We are now, Paula said. You buy the next terrible coffee. I laughed. Actually laughed. It felt strange after hours of controlled calm. My phone buzzed. Text from Dana. Are you okay? Where did you go? I'm worried. I responded. I'm fine. I'm safe. I'll call you tomorrow. Another text, this time from Claire. Thank you. You did what I couldn't. I'm leaving Richard. If you need anything, please ask. I stared at that one for a long time. Then I texted back. Thank you for trying to warn me. It mattered. What's next for you? Paula asked. Sleep, I said. Then my lawyer's office in the morning. Finalize the divorce filing. Get the restraining order formalized. Start the asset division process. Where are you staying? Hotel tonight. I'll look for an apartment this week. The house? I'm keeping it, I said. It was purchased with my inheritance before the marriage. It's mine. Marcus can move back with his mother, Paula snorted. That'll be humbling. He needs humbling, I said. He needs consequences. He needs to rebuild from nothing so he understands what he took from people. You think he'll learn? Probably not, I admitted, but that's not my problem anymore. I finished the coffee, set down the cup. I got a job offer. Paula's eyebrows rose. When? 3 weeks ago. I didn't mention it because I wasn't sure if I'd take it. But now, I smiled. Hartman Pharmaceuticals, PR and stakeholder relations. They remembered me from before I married Marcus, when I was good at my job. That's Monroe's main competitor. I know, Paula laughed. You're going to work for their rival? I'm going to excel for their rival, I corrected. I know every weakness in Monroe Pharmaceuticals, every client relationship, every vendor, every strategy, and I'm going to use all of it. Is that ethical? Is embezzlement ethical? Is hitting your wife ethical? Is blackmail ethical? I met her eyes. I'm done playing fair with people who never played fair with me. Paula raised her coffee cup. To Catherine Monroe, the woman who fought back. To Catherine Monroe, I echoed. The woman who's done being Monroe. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Hello? Mrs. Monroe? This is Detective Sarah Vance with the prosecutor's office. Agent Kim passed me your contact information. My heart sped up. Yes? I've reviewed the evidence package your investigators submitted. It's comprehensive, extremely well documented. She paused. I need to ask you some questions. Are you available to come in tomorrow? What time? 10 a.m.? I'll be there. Mrs. Monroe? One more thing. Her voice softened. I saw the photographs, the bruises, the split lip from tonight. I want you to know we take domestic violence very seriously. If you want to press charges for assault, I do, I said. I want to press every charge I can. Good. We'll discuss that tomorrow. And Mrs. Monroe, you did the right thing. Not just for yourself. For every person Marcus Monroe might have hurt next. My throat tightened. Thank you. She hung up. Paula was watching me. They're taking it seriously. They are. How do you feel? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Scared, I admitted. Relieved. Angry. Free. All at once. That's normal. Is it normal that I don't feel guilty? For what? For destroying his life. For taking down his family. For, I gestured vaguely. All of it. Paula leaned forward. Catherine, listen to me. You didn't destroy his life. He destroyed it himself. You just stopped covering for him. You stopped protecting him from consequences. That's not destruction. That's accountability. His mother will hate me. His mother enabled him. Dana will be caught in the middle. Dana chose to leave. She made her own choice. The company might not survive. The company was built on exploitation. Maybe it shouldn't survive. I closed my eyes. Breathed. I keep waiting to feel bad, I whispered. To regret it. To want to take it back. Do you want to take it back? I opened my eyes. No. Then don't feel bad for being strong. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Paula pulled out a folder. There's one more thing. What? The life insurance policy Marcus took out on you 6 months ago. My blood went cold. What? $2 million. You're the insured. He's the beneficiary. Paula's face was grim. He increased it from $500,000 to $2 million in April, right when the embezzlement started. My hand started shaking. You think he was— I think it's suspicious, Paula said carefully. I think you should tell Detective Vance. I think she should investigate whether Marcus ever discussed hurting you, with Vanessa, with anyone. Oh my God! I could be wrong, Paula said. But Catherine? Men who steal and cheat and hit? Sometimes they escalate, and $2 million is a lot of motivation. I felt sick. I wanted to tell you tonight after the dinner, Paula continued, but you needed to focus. Now you need to know. You need to be careful, even with the restraining order. He wouldn't— I stopped. Would he? 2 months ago, I would have said he'd never steal, never cheat, never hit me. I'd been wrong about all of it. I'll tell Detective Vance, I said. Good. And Catherine? Stay at the hotel under a different name. Don't tell anyone where you are except me and your lawyer, just for a few days, until Marcus is formally charged and we know he's not a flight risk. You really think he's dangerous? Paula met my eyes. I think he's desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. I nodded slowly. Come on, Paula said, standing. I'll drive you to the hotel. We'll get you checked in. And tomorrow we'll handle everything else. Paula? Yeah? Thank you for caring, for protecting me, for— my voice cracked— for seeing me. She hugged me, quick and tight. You were always worth seeing. You just had to see yourself first. We left her office, drove through the city, checked me into a hotel under Paula's name. I stood in the small room, looked at the generic art on the walls, the sanitized bedding, the silence. I was alone, truly alone for the first time in 6 years. And I wasn't afraid. I was free. Detective Vance's office was smaller than I expected. No dramatic interrogation rooms. No one-way mirrors. Just a cluttered desk, 2 chairs, and a woman in her 40s with tired eyes and a kind smile. Mrs. Monroe, thank you for coming, she said, gesturing to the chair. Coffee? Please. She poured from a pot that looked like it had been sitting for hours. It tasted like burnt regret. I drank it anyway. I've spent the morning reviewing your evidence, she said, settling behind her desk. Your investigator is extremely thorough. Paula's the best. She is. Which is why I'm confident we can prosecute this case successfully. She opened a file. Let's start with the embezzlement. You said you have documentation of 473 transfers over 8 months? Yes, every transaction. Paula traced them through 3 shell accounts before they landed in the joint account Marcus and Vanessa opened in Grand Cayman. Grand Cayman, Vance repeated. That's going to complicate recovery, but it strengthens the fraud case. Shows intent to hide assets internationally. Will you be able to get the money back? Some of it, maybe most. Depends how much they've already spent. She made a note. Now, the assault. Last night. Tell me what happened. I walked her through it. The dinner. The spilled sauce. The slap. The blood. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, You have witnesses. 11 people, including a federal investigator. Good. That makes prosecution straightforward. Have you seen a doctor? Not yet. You should. Today, get the injuries documented. Photographs, medical report. It'll strengthen the case. Okay. Mrs. Monroe, I need to ask you something difficult. She folded her hands. Your investigator flagged a life insurance policy Marcus took out on you. $2 million. He's the beneficiary. I know. She told me last night. Did you know about this policy when he took it out? No. He never mentioned it. I found out yesterday. Vance's expression darkened. I'm going to be direct. The timing concerns me. He increases your life insurance policy substantially while committing financial crimes that are about to be discovered, while also escalating violence against you. She paused. I've seen this pattern before. My stomach dropped. You think he planned to kill me? I think it's a possibility we need to investigate. Her voice was gentle. I'm not saying he definitely intended to hurt you, but I am saying the evidence suggests he might have considered it. I felt cold. What do I do? First, the restraining order is critical. He can't contact you, can't come near you. If he violates it, he's arrested immediately. Okay. Second, we're going to look into his communications. emails, texts, calls. If he discussed harming you with anyone, Vanessa, a friend, anyone, we'll find it. And if you do find something, then we charge him with conspiracy to commit murder. And he faces a lot more than embezzlement charges. I couldn't breathe. I married him. You didn't know, Vance said firmly. Abusers are skilled at hiding their nature. None of this is your fault. I should have left sooner. Catherine. She waited until I met her eyes. You left when you were ready, when you were strong enough, when you had a plan. That's not weakness. That's survival. I nodded, not trusting my voice. There's something else, Vance said. She pulled out another document. Your investigator also flagged discrepancies in Monroe Pharmaceuticals' pension fund, the one Marcus stole from. Yes, it's tied to employee retirement accounts. Right. But there's more. Richard Monroe and Gerald Monroe were aware of the theft for 9 weeks. They didn't report it. Instead, they covered it up while building an internal case against Marcus. I know. I told you that last night. What you didn't know, Vance said, is that while they were covering it up, they were also restructuring the pension fund, moving assets, changing investment allocations. They were using Marcus's theft as cover to make their own changes. I stared at her. They were stealing too? Not stealing, exactly, but engaging in self-dealing. They moved pension assets into Monroe-owned real estate investments that benefit the family trust, not the employees. That's legal? Borderline. Maybe not, depending on how the pension is structured. The SEC is investigating. But Catherine, this goes deeper than Marcus. The entire Monroe financial structure might be corrupt. How did Paula find this? She didn't. The SEC found it when they started digging after your tip. They expanded the investigation. They're now looking at the entire company. 10 years of financial records. I sat back. Gerald and Richard are going down too. Potentially. If the SEC finds what they think they'll find, yes. Fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty. Self-dealing. The Monroe family could lose everything. Good, I said. The word came out harder than I intended. Vance studied me. You really want that? The whole family destroyed? They destroyed themselves, I said. I just stopped lying about it. And detective? They watched Marcus hit me. They told me to apologize. They enabled every horrible thing he did because it was more convenient than holding him accountable. So yes, I want them to face what they built. Vance nodded slowly. Fair enough. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Please, let me explain. Just give me 5 minutes. I showed Vance. He's violating the restraining order, she said immediately. That's not finalized yet. It takes 24 hours to process. But when it is, any contact is a violation. I blocked his number. Another text came through. Different number. Catherine, it's Judith. We need to talk about how to handle this quietly. For everyone's sake. I showed Vance that one too. They're going to pressure you, Vance said. To drop charges, to settle, to make this go away. You need to be prepared for that. I won't drop charges. What if they offer money? I don't want their money. I want justice. What if they threaten you? I looked up sharply. Threaten me how? Character assassination. Claims that you're vindictive, that you manipulated Marcus, that you're lying about the abuse. Rich families have resources. They'll use them. Let them try, I said. I have evidence, photographs, witnesses, bank records. They can't spin their way out of facts. They'll try, Vance said. They always do. Another text. This one from Gerald. You've made your point. Let's discuss resolution. Name your price. I showed Vance. Name your price, she read. Like you're a problem to be solved with money. That's how they see everyone, I said. Every person is a transaction. Every problem has a dollar amount. They think if they pay enough, I'll go away. Will you? No. I met her eyes, because this isn't about money. It's about making sure they can't do this to anyone else. Marcus can't hit another woman. Gerald can't steal from another pension fund. Judith can't tell another daughter-in-law to accept abuse. They have to stop. Vance smiled. Good. Then we're on the same page. She stood. Here's what happens next. We charge Marcus with embezzlement, wire fraud, and assault, potentially more depending on what we find in his communications. We charge Vanessa as an accomplice to the financial crimes. We referred Gerald and Richard to the SEC for their investigation. When? Embezzlement and assault charges get filed by end of week. The federal case takes longer, maybe 60 days to build completely. But Catherine, this is happening. They're going to face consequences. I stood too. Thank you for taking this seriously. Thank you for reporting it. Most people don't. They stay silent. They protect abusers. You didn't. She handed me a card. My direct line. You call me if anyone from the Monroe family contacts you. If you feel unsafe, if anything happens. Day or night. I took the card. What if I just want to talk? To someone who understands? Then you call me for that too, she said gently. I left the prosecutor's office, drove to an urgent care clinic, let a doctor photograph the bruise on my face, the split lip, the finger-shaped marks on my arm where Marcus had grabbed me 3 weeks ago that had faded but still showed under the right light. How long has this been happening? The doctor asked. 6 months, I said. Maybe longer. I stopped counting. I'm glad you're here now, she said. These injuries are documented. If you need them for court, you have them. I'll need them for court. She nodded, printed the report, handed it to me with a referral to a therapist. You should talk to someone, she said, about what you've been through. It helps. I will, I promised. I drove to the hotel, sat in the parking lot, stared at my phone. 12 missed calls, 20 texts, all from Monroe family members or their lawyers. I deleted them all. Then I called Dana. Catherine, she answered immediately. Oh my God, are you okay? We've been trying to reach you. I'm okay, I said. I'm safe. I'm sorry I worried you. Where are you? I can't tell you that yet. But I'm fine. Mom is losing her mind. Dad's locked himself in his office. Richard hired 3 lawyers. It's chaos. Good, I said. Dana was quiet for a moment. You really meant it. Last night. You're not backing down. I'm not backing down. Catherine. She sighed. I'm proud of you. I know that's weird to say, but I am. You did what I've never been brave enough to do. What's that? Tell the truth, even when it costs you everything. It cost me nothing, I said softly. I already had nothing. A house I wasn't allowed to decorate, a marriage built on lies, a family that hated me. What did I lose? Dana laughed sadly. When you put it that way, I gained everything, Dana. I gained myself back. I want to see you, she said. When things calm down, I want to have coffee, as friends, not as family, just friends. I'd like that. Marcus is. She hesitated. He's not doing well. He's drinking. He's saying terrible things about you. Claire said he tried to drain the bank accounts, but the police froze them. Good. He's talking about leaving, running. Gerald's trying to convince him to stay and face the charges. If he runs, they'll find him, I said. And it'll look worse. I know. I told him that. He's not listening. Dana, if he runs, you tell Detective Vance immediately. She needs to know. I will. Pause. I'm leaving too. Not running. Just leaving. I'm done with this family, with the company, with all of it. Tom and I are moving to Portland, starting over. I'm happy for you. Maybe you could visit sometime. I'd like that, I said honestly. We hung up. I sat in my car as the afternoon faded into evening. My phone rang one more time. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me. Hello? Mrs. Monroe, this is Agent Kim. We've completed the initial forensic analysis of Marcus Monroe's communications. My heart stopped. And? We found something. Email drafts between Marcus and Vanessa, discussing how much money they'd have if you weren't around, discussing how accidents happen and how widowers get sympathy. I couldn't breathe. It's not an explicit murder plot, Agent Kim continued. It's vague enough that defense could argue it was hypothetical. But combined with the life insurance policy, the escalating violence, the financial motive. She paused. We have enough to bring additional charges. What charges? Conspiracy to commit murder. The world tilted. Mrs. Monroe? Are you there? He was going to kill me, I whispered. We believe he was considering it. Whether he would have followed through, we'll never know. Because you left, you saved your own life. I was crying. I didn't remember starting. Detective Vance will call you tomorrow, Agent Kim said gently. She'll walk you through what happens next. But Catherine, you did everything right. You protected yourself. You gathered evidence. You got out. You survived. I survived, I repeated. You survived, she confirmed. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the hotel bed and stared at the ceiling and thought about all the ways I could have died. The stairs I descended every morning, how easy it would have been to push me. The wine he poured for me at dinner. How simple to add something. The long drive home from his parents' house on dark country roads. How convenient a car accident would have been. I thought about Vanessa typing those emails. Accidents happen. Widowers get sympathy. I thought about Marcus reading them, responding, planning. I thought about the life insurance policy. 2 million reasons to make me disappear. And I thought about how close I'd come to never knowing. At 6 a.m., I got up, showered, put on the only outfit I'd packed when I left the house, jeans and a sweater that had been in my car. I looked at myself in the mirror. The bruise on my face was yellowing. The split lip had scabbed over, but I was here, alive, free. My phone rang at 8. Detective Vance. Catherine, I need you to come to the station. We're filing additional charges against Marcus this afternoon. I want you informed before it becomes public. I'll be there in 30 minutes. The police station was different in daylight, less ominous, more bureaucratic. Vance met me in the lobby, led me to a conference room where Agent Kim was already waiting. Thank you for coming, Vance said. I know this is difficult. Tell me everything, I said. They laid it out. 23 emails between Marcus and Vanessa, discussing the life insurance policy, discussing my unfortunate health problems that didn't exist, discussing how much money they'd have when she was gone. It's circumstantial, Vance admitted. Defense will argue they were venting, fantasizing, not actually planning. But combined with everything else, Agent Kim added, the violence, the theft, the policy increase, it paints a picture. What happens now? I asked. We charge Marcus with conspiracy to commit murder. It's a serious charge. If convicted, 15 to 25 years. Add that to the embezzlement and assault charges, he's looking at 30 years minimum. 30 years. Marcus would be 70 when he got out. What about Vanessa? Accomplice to conspiracy, she wrote the emails. She participated in the planning. She's facing 10 to 15 years. I sat back. They're destroyed. They destroyed themselves, Vance said. You just brought it to light. The Monroe family is already moving, Agent Kim said. 3 lawyers showed up this morning demanding we drop all charges, claiming you're mentally unstable, that you manipulated evidence, that you seduced Marcus into the affair, and now you're vindictive. I laughed. It came out bitter. I seduced him into his own affair? With Vanessa? I told them that made no sense, Vance said. They didn't care. Rich families don't need sense. They need narratives. What narrative are they pushing? That you're a gold digger who married Marcus for money. That when you discovered he wasn't as wealthy as you thought, you framed him. That the abuse is fabricated. That you hired Paula to manufacture evidence. That's insane. That's expensive lawyers, Agent Kim said. They'll throw every theory at the wall and see what sticks. But you have evidence. We do. Bank records don't lie. Medical reports don't lie. Witnesses don't lie well, mostly. But Catherine, this is going to get ugly. They're going to drag your name through the mud. They're going to make you the villain. Let them try, I said. The truth is the truth. The truth is malleable in court, Vance said gently. You need to be prepared for that, for character attacks, for humiliation, for lies. I'm prepared. Vance studied me. Are you? Because this isn't just testifying. This is months of headlines, press coverage, social media. The Monroe family has resources. They'll use them. So do I said. I have the truth. And I have you. Agent Kim smiled. We'll do everything we can, but you need to know there's another option. What option? Plea deal. Marcus pleads guilty to embezzlement and assault. Reduced sentence. You don't have to testify. The conspiracy charge gets dropped. Everyone moves on quietly. I stared at her. You want me to let him off easy? I want you to protect yourself, Agent Kim said. Trials are hell, especially for victims. You'll be cross-examined. They'll question your memory, your motives, your credibility. It's traumatizing. And if I don't testify, if we take the plea deal? Marcus serves 5 to 7 years. Vanessa serves 3 to 5. They both lose their careers. They both have felony records. But you avoid trial. You avoid the publicity. You move on. And the conspiracy charge? The fact that he planned to kill me? Stays sealed. It doesn't go public. No one knows. I felt sick. So he gets away with it. He doesn't get away with it, Vance said. He still goes to prison. He still loses everything. But you don't have to relive the trauma in court. What do you think I should do? Vance met my eyes. I think you should do what's best for you. Not what's right. Not what's just. What's best for your healing. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city. He was going to kill me, I said quietly. He wrote emails about it. He increased my life insurance. He escalated the violence. He had a plan. Neither of them responded. And you want me to let that go? To pretend it didn't happen, so I can avoid discomfort? To avoid trauma, Agent Kim corrected gently. I turned around. I've been traumatized for 6 years. 6 years of walking on eggshells, of making myself smaller, of accepting cruelty because it was easier than fighting. I'm done avoiding discomfort. Catherine, no, I said. I'm testifying. I'm pressing every charge. I'm putting him away for as long as legally possible, because he doesn't deserve mercy. And more importantly, the next woman he meets deserves protection. Vance nodded slowly. Okay, then that's what we'll do. One condition, I said. What's that? If he pleads guilty to everything, including the conspiracy charge if he admits what he did publicly, then I'll accept a reduced sentence. Not dropped, reduced. He still goes to prison. But I won't make him go through trial. That's generous, Agent Kim said. That's strategic, I corrected, because a confession is more powerful than a conviction. If he admits he planned to kill me, the world knows. The Monroe family can't spin it, and I get closure without the trauma of testimony. And if he doesn't confess, then I see him in court, and I tell the world exactly what he did, and I watch him go to prison for 30 years. Vance smiled. You've thought this through. I had a long night. I'll present the offer to his lawyers, Vance said. But Catherine, be prepared for him to reject it. Men like Marcus don't confess. They don't admit fault. They fight until they lose. Then he'll lose, I said simply. I left the police station, drove aimlessly, ended up at a park I'd never been to. I sat on a bench and watched children play, parents laughing, dogs running, normal life, continuing, while mine was being dissected in court filings and plea negotiations. My phone rang. Dana, Catherine, what's happening? Richard just got a call from a prosecutor. They're adding more charges. They're saying Marcus planned to. Her voice broke. Tell me it's not true. It's true, I said quietly. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Jesus, Catherine, don't apologize. He's a monster. I know. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. If I'd known... Dana, you couldn't have known. He hid it from everyone. I should have seen something. Some sign. I'm his sister. You saw what he wanted you to see, I said. That's what abusers do. They wear masks. She was crying. Are you okay? I will be. Do you need anything? Money? A place to stay? Anything? I need you to keep being my friend, I said. Even when your family hates me, they already hate you. Doesn't change how I feel. I smiled despite everything. Thank you. Catherine, be careful. Marcus is. He's unraveling. He's saying crazy things. About finding you. about making this right. I think he might try to. Try to what? I don't know. But he's dangerous. Promise me you'll stay hidden. I promise. We hung up. I looked at the playground, at the innocence, the safety. I wondered if I'd ever feel safe again. Then I remembered I'd felt safe for 6 years. With Marcus. Safety had been an illusion. Freedom was better. Marcus rejected the plea deal. His lawyers released a statement. Mr. Monroe maintains his innocence on all charges. These accusations are the result of a vindictive ex-wife attempting to destroy him financially and professionally. He looks forward to his day in court. So we went to court. The trial took 8 weeks. 8 weeks of testimony, evidence, cross-examination, media circus. The prosecution presented bank records, emails, the life insurance policy, medical photographs of my injuries, witness testimony from 11 people who'd seen Marcus hit me. The defense argued I was a liar, a manipulator, a woman scorned who fabricated evidence and manipulated authorities. They called character witnesses who described me as cold, calculating, ambitious. They suggested I'd married Marcus for money. They implied I'd driven him to cheat through my frigidity, my inadequacy, my failure as a wife. I sat in that courtroom and listened to them dismantle my character, my personhood, my truth, and I didn't break. When it was my turn to testify, I told the truth, simply, clearly, without embellishment. I described the first time he hit me, how he apologized, how I believed him. I described the pattern, the escalation, the fear. I described finding the emails, reading about my own death as if it were a business transaction. The jury watched me, some with sympathy, some with skepticism. Marcus's lawyer cross-examined me for 6 hours. Mrs. Monroe, isn't it true you hired a private investigator before filing for divorce? Yes. Isn't that evidence of premeditation, of planning to destroy your husband? No. It's evidence of wanting to survive. You claim my client hit you, yet you stayed for 6 months. Why? Because leaving an abuser is the most dangerous time. I needed a plan. Or you needed time to fabricate evidence? No. You worked in event planning before marrying my client. You understand optics, narrative, don't you? Yes. Isn't this entire trial simply good optics, a narrative you've constructed? I looked at Marcus. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The narrative is simple, I said. Your client stole money, cheated on me, hit me, planned to kill me. Those are facts, not stories. The lawyer tried again. You stand to gain financially from my client's conviction. I stand to gain nothing, I interrupted. I've already divorced him. I've already secured my assets. This trial costs me money. Time, peace. I'm here because he needs to face consequences. Not for me, for the next woman. That landed. I could see it in the jury's faces. The defense rested. The prosecution called their final witnesses, Paula Chen, methodically explaining the forensic accounting, the trail of theft, the sophistication of the scheme, Detective Vance, walking through the investigation, the evidence, the conclusion, Agent Kim, describing the conspiracy, the emails, the cold calculation of planning someone's murder, then Vanessa Holt. She'd taken a plea deal 2 weeks into trial, testifying against Marcus in exchange for reduced charges. She took the stand, looking broken, defeated. Miss Holt, did you and Marcus Monroe discuss ending his marriage? Yes. How? Her voice was barely a whisper. He said Catherine was in the way, that we couldn't be together while she existed. What did you understand that to mean? I thought he meant divorce, at first. And later? Later. He talked about insurance, about accidents, about how much money we'd have if she was just gone. Did you take him seriously? I don't know. Maybe. I wanted to believe he was just venting, but he kept bringing it up, and then he increased her policy, and I knew. Knew what? That he was actually considering it. And what did you do? Nothing. Tears now. I did nothing. I told myself I was overthinking, that he'd never actually go through with it. But I knew, and I did nothing. Why are you testifying now? Because she was right. Catherine was right, about all of it, and I almost helped kill her for an affair that meant nothing. Marcus's face was stone. The jury deliberated for 4 days. I waited in Paula's office, drinking terrible coffee, watching the clock. Dana called every few hours. Any word? Not yet. On day 4, at 2 p.m., my lawyer called. They've reached a verdict. We need to be there in 30 minutes. I drove to the courthouse. Photographers everywhere, journalists shouting questions. I walked past them all, head high, spine straight. Inside, the courtroom was packed. Marcus sat at the defense table. He'd lost weight, looked older, smaller. The jury filed in. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. On the charge of wire fraud, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of embezzlement? Guilty. On the charge of assault? Guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder? The room held its breath. Guilty. Marcus's head dropped. Judith Monroe sobbed audibly. Gerald sat motionless. Richard stared straight ahead. I felt nothing. Empty. Complete. Mr. Monroe, you have been found guilty on all counts. Sentencing will be held in 30 days. Until then, you will be remanded to custody. They handcuffed him, led him away. He looked at me once. Just once. I looked back and felt nothing. Outside, reporters swarmed. Mrs. Monroe, how do you feel about the verdict? Mrs. Monroe, what do you want to say to other abuse victims? Mrs. Monroe, is it true you're writing a book? Paula appeared beside me, cleared a path, got me to the car. You okay? She asked. I won, I said. Why don't I feel like I won? Because winning in court doesn't undo what happened, Paula said gently. It just means justice was served. Healing is different. When does healing start? Now, she said. Now that it's over. But it wasn't over. Sentencing came 30 days later. Marcus got 32 years. Vanessa got 8. Gerald and Richard's case with the SEC resulted in fines, suspensions, and forced resignation from the company. Monroe Pharmaceuticals was sold to a competitor within 6 months. The family dynasty ended, and I started over. 6 months after the trial, I sat in my new apartment and didn't recognize my life. I'd moved to a different neighborhood, small one-bedroom condo downtown, exposed brick, big windows, space that was entirely mine. No beige, no tasteful neutrals, no Judith's approval needed. I painted one wall deep teal, bought art that made me happy, not art that looked expensive. Filled bookshelves with novels I actually wanted to read, not coffee table books meant to impress guests. I decorated for myself, cooked for myself, lived for myself. It was strange at first. The quiet, the freedom. No one to criticize my food, no one to monitor my spending, no one to ask where I'd been or who I'd seen. Just me. Paula came over once a week. We'd drink wine and cook elaborate meals and laugh about terrible television. You seem different, she said one evening. Different how? Lighter. Like you're not carrying something heavy anymore. I thought about that. I'm not. I put it down. Good. You deserve to be light. I'd started my new job at Hartman Pharmaceuticals, senior manager of stakeholder relations. I was good at it, better than good. I understood client relationships, corporate politics, how to read a room and navigate egos, all skills I'd learned surviving the Monroe family. My boss commented after my first big presentation, "You're remarkably composed under pressure." I didn't tell her why. Colleagues respected me, asked my opinion, valued my input. No one treated me as decoration, as Marcus's wife, as the woman who planned the Christmas party. They treated me as Catherine, professional, competent, valuable. It was intoxicating. I reconnected with old friends from my event planning days, coffee dates, lunch meetings, happy hours. People who remembered me before Marcus, who said things like, "You seem more yourself now." I hadn't realized how much I'd disappeared. Dana and I met monthly, sometimes in person, when she was visiting from Portland, sometimes video calls. She'd gone to therapy. was processing family trauma, building a new relationship with herself. "I'm learning about codependency," she told me, "about how I enabled Marcus without realizing it, how I enabled all of them." "You were surviving too," I said. "Maybe. But I could have done more, for you, for myself. You're doing it now. That's what matters." Claire reached out occasionally, brief emails checking in. She'd divorced Richard, started her own consulting firm, was rebuilding her life too. "There's something freeing about losing everything," she wrote once. "You realize how little you actually needed." I understood exactly what she meant. I took a pottery class on Thursday evenings, something I'd wanted to try for years, but Marcus had called pointless. Turns out, making ugly bowls with my hands in cool clay was incredibly therapeutic. The instructor, a woman in her 60s named Margaret, said, "You're very focused, very precise." "I like having control," I admitted. "Good," she said. "Clay teaches you that control is an illusion, but also that you have more power than you think." I joined a book club, made new friends who knew nothing about the trial, about Marcus, about any of it. To them, I was just Catherine, the woman who always brought good wine and had thoughtful opinions about character motivation. One of them, a teacher named Rachel, invited me to dinner parties, introduced me to her circle. "You're easy to talk to," she said. "People trust you." "I've learned to listen," I said. "It's more than that. You're present. You actually care what people say." I realized she was right. I'd spent 6 years monitoring Marcus's reactions, reading every micro-expression, anticipating his needs. Now I used those skills to actually connect with people, to see them, to understand them. It felt good. I started volunteering at a women's shelter, teaching financial literacy classes, how to hide money, how to build credit, how to recognize economic abuse. The women who came to my classes were at different stages. Some had just left, some were planning, some were still deciding. I saw myself in all of them. One woman, Maria, stayed after class one evening. "How did you know?" she asked. "When to leave?" "When staying became more dangerous than leaving," I said. "What if I'm not strong enough?" "You're here," I said. "That took strength. The rest is just taking the next step, then the next. You don't need to be strong enough for everything, just strong enough for right now." She cried. I held her hand. A month later, she left her husband, came to class with a black eye and a new bank account. "I did it," she said. "I left." "You saved yourself," I corrected. She hugged me. "You showed me it was possible." That moment changed something in me, crystallized my purpose. I enrolled in a financial counseling certification program, specialized training for working with abuse survivors. If I could help one woman avoid what I went through, it was worth it. I started dating again, cautiously. A setup through Rachel. Architect named James. Kind eyes, easy laugh. First date was coffee, 2 hours that felt like 30 minutes. Second date was dinner. He asked about my interests, my work, my goals. Actually listened to the answers. Third date, he asked about my past. "I was married," I said carefully. "It ended badly." "How badly?" "Abusive, criminal charges, prison." I waited for him to make excuses. "To leave." He just nodded. "I'm sorry you went through that. Thank you for trusting me enough to tell me." "You're not scared off?" "Why would I be scared off?" "You survived something terrible. That's not a red flag. That's evidence of strength." I started crying. Right there in the restaurant. "What's wrong?" he asked, alarmed. "Nothing. Everything. I'm just not used to people seeing it that way." He handed me a napkin. Waited until I composed myself. "Catherine, your past is your past. It doesn't define you. It's just part of your story." We kept dating. Slowly. Intentionally. He never pushed. Never pressured. Never made me feel like I owed him anything. One evening, 4 months in, we were cooking dinner at my place. He noticed the teal wall, the eclectic art, the mismatched dishes. "This space is so you," he said. "You've never been here before when it was not me," I pointed out. "True, but I can tell this is chosen, intentional, not performed. He saw it. The difference. I kissed him. Slowly, carefully. He kissed back, then pulled away. "We don't have to rush," he said. "I know. I want to." "Are you sure?" I thought about Marcus, about feeling used, pressured, obligated. I thought about now, about choosing, about wanting. "I'm sure," I said. Later, lying in bed, he said, "You're different than I expected." "How?" "Stronger, funnier, more yourself than I thought anyone could be." "What does that mean?" "It means you know exactly who you are, and you're not apologizing for it." He was right. For the first time in my adult life, I knew who I was. Not Marcus's wife, not the Monroe daughter-in-law, not the victim, not the survivor. Just Catherine. And Catherine was enough. 1 year after the slap, I hosted a dinner party. Not at the house I'd shared with Marcus. I'd sold that to a young couple expecting their first child. New beginnings for new people. At my condo, my space, my rules. I invited 7 people. Dana and her husband Tom, Paula, Claire, Rachel from book club, Maria from the shelter, and James. I spent the morning cooking, not braised short ribs, not anything from that night. Lemon herb chicken, roasted vegetables, fresh bread, simple, joyful, mine. No one would criticize the seasoning. Guests arrived at 6. Wine and flowers and laughter. Dana hugged me tight. "Your place is beautiful. Thank you. I love it." "You look happy," she said. "I am happy." Paula arrived with expensive wine and cheap chocolate. "For balance," she explained. Claire brought flowers. "Burnt orange dahlias," she said with a smile, "because screw Marcus's opinion about photography." I laughed and put them in the center of the table. Rachel brought homemade cookies. Maria brought her teenage daughter, asking shyly if it was okay. "More than okay," I said. "Welcome." James arrived last, kissed me on the cheek, and asked what he could do to help. "Just be here," I said. We gathered in my small living room. Too many people for the space. Perfect. Conversation flowed easily. Books, work, gardening, terrible movies we secretly loved. No performance, no anxiety, no hidden agendas. Just people who liked each other, sharing a meal. I served dinner. No one commented on the plating. Tom complimented the chicken. Paula praised the bread. James squeezed my hand under the table. After dinner, Dana pulled me into the kitchen. "I need to tell you something," she said. "What?" "Marcus was released last week. Early release for good behavior." My stomach dropped. "What?" "He only served 8 months. The conspiracy charge got overturned on appeal. Some technicality about the emails. He's out." "Where is he?" "Living with Mom, working retail." "He's not allowed to contact you. The restraining order is still active. But Catherine, he's out." I gripped the counter. "Is he dangerous?" "I don't know. He's been in therapy. Says he's changed. But," she shook her head, "I don't trust it." "Have you seen him?" "Once. He asked about you. I told him I had no idea where you were or what you were doing." Which was true at the time. "Thank you." "If he ever—" "I know. I'll call Detective Vance." She hugged me. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to ruin tonight, but I needed you to know. I'm glad you told me." We returned to the living room. I must have looked shaken because James noticed immediately. "You okay?" he whispered. "Tell you later," I whispered back. Paula raised her glass. "A toast. To Catherine. 1 year of freedom, new job, new life, new friends." Everyone raised their glasses. "To Catherine," they echoed. I felt tears prick my eyes. "Thank you, all of you, for being here, for believing me, for seeing me." "We see you," Rachel said softly. Maria spoke up, voice quiet but steady. "You showed me it's possible to rebuild, to be more than what happened to you. Thank you for that." Her daughter nodded. "Mom's different now, happier, because of you." I didn't know what to say. "Catherine taught me you can tell the truth and survive it," Dana said. "That family doesn't mean tolerating abuse." "She taught me I was complicit," Claire added, "and that it's never too late to change." "She taught me that justice is possible," Paula said, even when the system seems rigged against you. James looked at me. She taught me that strength looks different than I thought, that surviving isn't the same as thriving, but that both are worth celebrating. I wiped my eyes. Stop. You're going to make me cry. Too late, Rachel said, pointing at my face. Everyone laughed. We moved to the couch, squeezed together, talking late into the night, about books and art and politics and life, about trauma and healing and hope, about what comes after survival. Around midnight, people started leaving. Hugs at the door. Promises to do this again soon. Maria pulled me aside. He's really out? Your ex? Yes. Are you scared? I thought about it. Really thought about it. A year ago, I would have been terrified, paralyzed. Now, I'm cautious, I said. I'm aware, but I'm not scared. Because I'm not the woman I was when he hit me. I'm not the woman who stayed silent. I'm the woman who fought back. And if he comes near me, I'll fight back again. Maria smiled. Good. When everyone was gone, James helped me clean up. You want to talk about what Dana told you? He asked. I told him. About Marcus. About the appeal. About the early release. Are you safe? He asked. I think so. The restraining order is still active, and I'm not hiding. I'm just living. Do you want me to stay tonight? Not like that. Just to be here? I considered it. The offer was genuine. Protective without being possessive. No, I said. But thank you. I need to prove to myself I'm not afraid. He nodded. Kissed my forehead. Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. I will. After he left, I stood in my quiet apartment, looked at the burnt orange dahlias, the mismatched dishes in the sink, the half-empty wine glasses, evidence of a night well lived. I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, standing in that kitchen with blood on her lip, making a choice. That woman saved my life. I walked to the mirror, looked at my reflection. No bruises, no fear, no performance, just me. I thought about Marcus. Out there somewhere. Released, reduced, reformed, maybe, or not. It didn't matter. He didn't have power over me anymore. Not my time, not my thoughts, not my fear. I'd taken all of it back. My phone buzzed. Text from Detective Vance. Heard Monroe was released. You're aware. Just checking in. You okay? I responded. I'm fine. Thank you for everything. Her reply. You did the hard part. I just helped document it. Proud of you. I smiled. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I made myself tea, sat on my couch, opened a book I'd been meaning to read, and I didn't think about Marcus at all. Because this was my life now. Not the life after abuse. Not the life of a survivor. Not the life defined by what happened. Just my life. Full, complicated, imperfect, mine. I read until 2 a.m. Then went to bed in my own space, locked the door, set the alarm. Not because I was afraid, but because I was careful. There's a difference. And understanding that difference changed everything. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through my big windows. Made coffee. Terrible coffee. My coffee. Checked my phone. Message from the women's shelter. New class sign-ups, 20 women. Can you handle that many? I replied, I can handle it. Another message. From James. Dinner tonight? My place. I'll cook. I smiled. Responded, I'd love that. Life kept moving. Forward. Always forward. Not because the past didn't matter, but because the future mattered more. I thought about something Maria had said the night before. How do you stop being afraid? I hadn't answered then, but I knew now. You don't stop being afraid. You just stop letting fear make your decisions. You acknowledge it, thank it for trying to protect you, and then you move anyway. I got dressed, went for a run, came back sweaty and exhilarated, showered, dressed for work, applied lipstick, bold red, because I liked it, grabbed my bag, locked my door, walked into the world, and I wasn't afraid. Not of Marcus, not of the Monroes, not of running into someone who knew my story, not of anything. because I'd survived the worst thing I could imagine. And I was still here. Still,